Hello and welcome to Turkistan. Today is my last day in Turkistan. I didn't talk at every location I went to because I figured I'd do this type of overview because I want to give my opinions about Turkistan as a tourist or touristic location, because that's what Turkistan is trying to turn into. It's trying to turn into a local and I guess also international tourist location. A few years ago, they started to revamp the entire area. So actually, I came here last year at almost the same time, like the days overlap. I'm gonna have this nectarine as we're going because I'm hungry and this seems kind of real. When I came here with Nabila as well last time, it absolutely sucked. Everything was under construction. Of course, you can go to the Mausoleum of Yasawi, like the most famous landmark in Turkestan. But there were no maps. Everything was brown and like everything was construction. It was terrible. We only stayed a few hours not because Turkestan was bad, but because of our in-driver. And I didn't even make a video. I filmed, but I didn't make a video because I was so discouraged. And in the past few months, actually, I think in the springtime, Turkestan was improved. They built that Caravan Sarai. I would call it a shopping mall, but it could be a touristic center. I wanted to come back to see if Turkestan would have redemption. Let's talk about Caravan Sarai. So Caravan Sarai, or Caravan Sarai, is a newly built shopping and entertainment complex built for tourism. It has like a river flowing through it, a fake river, obviously. That kind of reminds me of Venice. You can take, as I would say, overpriced boat rides. They also have a boat show at 9 p.m., or at least it's 9 p.m. currently, where they tell the story of Kızılcık, a ancient story or legend in Kazakhstan. And what I was looking forward to was a horse show. Turns out they only do the horse show, I guess, in the spring and the summer. I saw on their Instagram much later that actually it only runs until July 31st. So I totally missed out. Looking through a view of tourism, Caravan Sarai has a lot of potential. Most of the storefronts are not occupied by stores yet, which is quite disappointing, I guess, or it means there's less to do.
Good morning.
Good morning. Not only does it have this theme of like Central Asia in the time of a lot of Islamic scholars living in the Central Asian area, but also it has a clear infrastructure. There are signs, and the path is simple. I saw a criticism that said Caravan Sarai is just a tourist trap, but I think there needs to be tourist trap type places, if we want to call them that, if you're trying to develop tourism, because it's an area for people to meet that's not around a historic religious site. You're not going to bring your 5-year-old child if there's nothing for them to do as well. And Caravan Sarai also has an entire building of children's entertainment. So what Caravan Sarai has effectively done is bring shopping, food, and children's entertainment so that the whole family can join, not just people who are only interested in this religious aspect. Now let's talk about the religious historical sites. So there's the Mausoleum of Yasawi, which is the biggest site here, and I filmed some on the inside and of course some on the outside. I didn't film everything on the inside, one, because there's actual like graves in there, and I don't think it's appropriate to film those things, and I think you should go, so I shouldn't reveal everything to you. The building has been reconstructed a little bit and definitely remodeled. You can actually see where the original tiles were and their updated tiles. There's a visit center in Turkestan. I guess you could call it a tourist center or an information center, where they have the contact information of many different tour guides that you can use, and they're all going to overcharge you. However, for international prices, it's not that bad. If you're a local in Kazakhstan, it's expensive, and it would be better to, in advance, find a tour group that you could save money on by going with a group. For me personally, it was a bit difficult to find these tour groups for Turkestan. Most of the time they're for Shymkent in Turkestan, and they start from Shymkent. This time I did not go to Shymkent, so should I film while this is going? I'm gonna stop filming. I'm by the Mausoleum of Yasawi. He was a great Islamic philosopher, I guess you could say, and he kind of spread Islam, I guess, in this area a bit more. But I also wanted to mention one of the greatest things is that I rode a camel here, and I've never ridden a camel in my life. And these are specific types of camels. I can't remember the name. I'll put it up here. But their regular name is a Mongolian camel. So they're the camels of Central Asia. I've never seen a camel like so close in my life. And usually I see the one with one hump. These ones had two humps, and they were the most beautiful creatures. I was bewitched, enamored. I loved them. And these two camels in particular, they, to my untrained eye, didn't look abused like I've seen many horses for rides here in Kazakhstan. These two camels looked meaty, I guess you could say. They didn't look too skinny. What else did I do? Let's go to a different location to talk about that. Here we are actually in Caravan Sarai, and that's the children's play center I was talking about. I came here because I knew there was an outdoor cafe, and the weather is so good on my last day. Why? Talking about bad weather. The second day I was here, we planned to go to Karatau Nature Reserve, which is a nature reserve, one of the youngest nature reserves in Kazakhstan, but the weather was absolutely terrible. We actually found a guy who I think for Kazakhstan's prices charged us too much, but there was only 2 of us, so maybe that was the reason. If there had been 3 or more, it would have been cheaper because we could split the cost. Anyways, we paid 25,000 tenge to have this guy take us to Karatau Nature Reserve. But when we woke up, it was so windy, and there was literally a dust storm or something. Like, dust was all in the air, visibility was low, and it was cold. The guy said, "It's gonna be so cold, are you sure you wanna go?" When we were already in the car. What? We say no, and then you're gonna charge us that much still? We get to the nature reserve, and they say it's closed because of high winds. So we drive about an hour more to the other side of the mountain, basically, to see if another side is open. It's also closed. However, to look on the bright side of that whole adventure, I got to see a lot of nature from the view of a car. However, talking about going outside of Turkistan, I wanted to go to some city ruins because there are several ancient cities that are no longer existing but are excavated, I suppose. There's 2, Otrar and Sauran. We went to Sauran. We booked a taxi with our hotel, and that was 15,000 tenge round trip, split by 2 people, so it wasn't so bad. Let me just cut to previous Rocky, who actually vlogged during the Sauran trip. Sauran, an ancient medieval city about 40 minutes away from Turkistan. It's basically, it looks like it's in the middle of nowhere. And let's see if there's any information in English. It is. So let me read this out to you and show you some of the imagery. This settlement is located on the territory of the Turkistan region, 45 kilometers northwest of the city of Turkistan, a monument of national importance. Sauran until the 13th century. In all probability, there was a site on the site of the ancient settlement of Karatobe, located in 3 kilometers southeast of Sauran. Okay, the grammar isn't all great here. The first mention of Sauran in written sources refers to the first half of the 14th century. In Russian sources, the first uprising about Sauran dates back to the 17th century. I don't think they mean uprising there. In the first half of the 14th century, Sauran was the capital of Ak-Orda. At present, the site of ancient settlement is stretched from the north to the south for 850 meters, and from east to west about 660 meters. The length of fortress walls is 2,360 meters. So it used to be a fortress. So actually the only people here right now is me, Nabila, who I'm traveling with, and our taxi driver. I'm pretty sure that entrance was rebuilt, but they say the walls still stand. So what you see on the outside is still there. This is my home. You're welcome. I've made a bed for you. The bed is just some twigs. Welcome. That's cool. I think it's part of the wall. So right now we're in the guest house. At least that's what I think it was. That's what the taxi driver said. I love ancient ruins. It's so neat to wonder what was happening here and think about, you know, life back then. Like, if this is a guest house or a hotel or something like that, then what was a room like this doing? You know, was this a guest room? Like, Did I just walk through the entrance of where so many people have been a guest before? Like, is this a hotel room? This square here, which leads to another square. What happens here? Another thing that's really interesting about like ancient ruins in Kazakhstan is that there's nobody watching. There's no security. You could, if you wanted, and be a bad person, and like steal or vandalize any place at these ancient ruins, and people don't. I have no idea what this location is, but I want to assume it's some type of bath house. And the only reason I say that is because of this hole in the ground. Do not take me as a source of knowledge about this particular site, because I'm just guessing unless I tell you it's true, okay? So this is the medres, or school. Medres, I learned from the taxi driver, is something like a school. Oh, I was about to ask, are these stones original? And my answer is no, because in one of the stones, I see an imprint of a tennis shoe, a real person's like shoe with grips in it. So definitely this was made when tennis shoes existed. I felt lied to. What I think the site is most famous for is that its walls still stand. Of course, not in complete perfection, but they're standing. And I think most of the wall, at least far away from the beginning, is what was there in the beginning. Or not in the beginning, or when the town was a town, when the fortress was a fortress. So these rocks, potentially, these stones or mud bricks, could be the original ones. And I think it looks very interesting the way they've kind of weathered over time as well. They look weather beaten in a very natural way, which creates some type of, I don't know, majestic beauty, some natural beauty. It really is a testament to history and to time. And so ends our little trip to Sauran, the ancient medieval fortress in Kazakhstan, southern Kazakhstan. I'll see you in the next location. Now you can also find a taxi driver to take you to Sauran or Otrar right by the visitor center. There's some men who like chant taxi, taxi. And if you go to them, I'm not sure how much they're going to charge you to go there, but they'll drive you there and back at least. So you don't have to go through a tour agency. And often these tour agencies will take you to several places. So maybe it's worth it. However, I will say in the Turkistan region, there's a lot of those little mausoleums that you can go see. Not in Turkestan city, but a little bit outside. So if you find a taxi driver or you stay in a mainstream hotel and they can book something for you, that would be a good thing to do. Another noteworthy attraction is the Golden Egg, and inside the Golden Egg is a flying theater. Now the first part is actually just a regular type of, I guess you could say, museum, where it tells you the history of Kazakhstan. But in the last 10 minutes, you get in a seat and you have this kind of immersive experience going through and seeing the different nature of Kazakhstan, kind of almost like you're flying through it. It's a really exhilarating experience. I actually think it was good. The price is a bit high, 6,500 tenge. Now if we're talking international prices, it's not high at all. But for the regular Kazakh person, that might be a little bit much for about 10 minutes of a video interactive experience. I also wanted to go to the museum that's mentioned on all the maps. However, it's closed. If you're curious what I'm eating, it's tiny little bauersack. So good. I also want to mention, if you're thinking of buying souvenirs, like some prayer beads, a magnet, even this hat, might I suggest going to the souvenir shop in front of the underground mosque. So right next to the mausoleum area, there's an underground mosque, which has a small little underground mosque. And that woman, I feel, has never overcharged. The first time I bought a magnet last year for 300 tenge, which is completely reasonable. I was shocked that she said that price. And this time, I was just passing by and I saw she was selling these hats. These hats are common for men to wear. I think these hats are beautiful, and I really don't mean to steal or appropriate anybody's culture, but that lady charged me 2,000 tenge for this, which also seems totally reasonable, and in my eyes, actually cheap. Now, somebody might say in the comments like, oh, you can actually buy it for this much. All right, So I've done enough yakking about the different things that I've done. Let's talk about Turkestan as a tourist site. I think Turkestan went in the total right direction in order to increase both domestic and international tourism to Turkestan. Before, it was just like, let's say, even before 2010, the area was just a few mausoleums and nothing. Not a lot of diverse restaurants, just a lot of ashana, but it has the potential because there are so many places of historic and religious significance here for Central Asia and for Kazakhstan. By developing it and making these touristy sites like Caravan Sarai, the museum, a library, virtually a bunch of stuff that is not authentic, not real in the fact that it wasn't made in the past. This is all completely new. They have a good idea going. Now I will mention some negative things, but this is from a tourism foreign person perspective. And of course, I'm not saying that the negative outweighs the positive. I think there's a lot of good work here. Some of the negative things is that, as I said before, Caravanserai is basically a ghost town. There's not much to do in here for shopping wise. Now, I'm actually not a shopper. I wouldn't be interested in it, but from a tourism point of view, there would be more people, I think, if there was more things to look at to buy. Another negative from an international tourist perspective is that there's still quite a few people in important places that don't speak English. Like the visit center, the young girl in there, she was trying to speak English, but it wasn't very communicative. And I think in a place like a visit center, that might be useful. Most restaurants will have one person that will speak English. And another thing I think that would be interesting to add is there are maps of this direct area of the mausoleums of Caravanserai, but it would be interesting for them to have a little bit more information about the rest of the town. I know there's a very big bazaar in Turkestan, and there's actually several bazaars in Turkestan, and I think people might be interested in going to see those places, especially if they're foreigners and they might not have seen a bazaar before. And maybe my last negative, which is a negative that is inevitable, is that because they've expanded this area so much, they've probably eliminated a lot of the wild environment that was once here, because the development was quite expansive. Although everything is easy to walk to, it's actually not that far away, it's still a lot of land that was developed, which could have negative impacts on the environment, especially that there are now big expanses of very green grass that needs to be watered every day in a region that's considered a desert. I don't know those implications, but there must be some, right? I'm sure there's some things I'm forgetting, but I think if you're a foreigner living in Kazakhstan or interested in seeing Kazakhstan, Turkestan would be a place to go. You know, you probably go to Almaty, you might go to Astana Nur Sultan, but for historic things, Turkestan might be the place. It's not so bad. I'm interested in seeing how it will develop, and I hope for the amount of effort they've put into developing it that more people will come to see. I know actually that this is the off season, I guess. Actually, midwinter would probably be the off season, but this place was booming, at least from social media, in spring. So I would suggest to come in the springtime, like May, April, May, maybe early June before it gets too hot. It gets very hot in the summer here, but springtime is definitely the time to come down to southern Kazakhstan, not only for the temperature, but also nature really flourishes at that time and you can go see it. So I do recommend coming to Turkestan, but you don't need as many days as we had, and I think you can do it in 3. One day of seeing the city, one day of going out to some old historical site outside of the city, and another day to maybe go to the sauna, maybe go revisit some of those sites, maybe go shopping, or going to see another excursion outside of Turkestan, another historical site. So 3 days, or maybe even 2 if you pack it in, would be plenty enough to see the city. And that's it. I hope you like this form of content. It's a lot of me talking and then video in the background. I haven't done this type of stuff before. Plus, I wanted to give a review of Turkestan since I've been here twice, once pre-development and once post-development, I guess. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.